Hey, folks, here we are. It must be Thursday. It is the Ask Us Anything call. Magic Emily Middleton is with me. My name is Kurt Von Onen. We'll be here for the next hour or so. I'm starting to see people already signing in, which is good. Couple of things, and I'll probably mention this a few times throughout the call, so don't get exasperated with me. It's just the way I got to do things. You can ask your questions in the chat. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, and you want to interact with either myself or Emily, you can just put those questions into the chat, whatever channel that you are on. So, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, X. We try to broadcast this or simulcast this on all those channels. For people that want to see a replay, because this question comes up sometimes in support. If you want to see a replay of these calls, I take the recording and I put these replays into our Facebook page. So if you go to the LifterLMS Facebook page, you will see the recordings there, and you can whatever you want to do. There, that was pretty easy. How about that? Hey, what if somebody wanted a discount? How would they get a discount? Boom. Let's take a look at this ticker. 55% off. You can go to lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. And that'll get you 55% off. Last week, we ran a really good sale on the lifetime deal, the Infinity bundle for $29.99. That was a smoking hot deal. So that's already passed. So now the best deal I got for you is at 55% off. So, Emily, how are you this week? Besides wearing glasses and cleaning glasses at the same time, you got a glass fetish going on.
Yeah, it's actually a side hustle. The LMS income isn't going so hot anymore. I got 100 of these fuckers I got to get done before the end of the day. Yeah, it's good. I'm doing like custom development work, and it's like it feels.
That's why you got glasses. You needed to get readers at your young age.
Well, maybe I have eye strain from looking at the computer all day, but these are farsighted or nearsighted. I'm nearsighted, so these let me see far away. But they also have flare or glare protection, so that helps my eyes when I'm on the computer. I am really happy to be over the hump with custom development work. Custom development work is such a jungle of like, hey, I described your feature to you before I built it. Okay, hey, I built the feature. They're like, actually, we have a bunch of things we need to change. And we also have this really like specific deadline. And it's really difficult, but we did so much stuff integrating with Shopify, refactoring how LifterLMS groups works. We just did so much.
Just you and I talking shop, hanging out like nobody's listening. Have you learned anything about the depth of discovery required for custom work?
Yeah, like I recommend having a designer or somebody who can put together graphic screenshots, throw together a little PDF of like, hey, this is kind of what I'm describing and what your feature might look like. I didn't really do that. I just very specifically outlined how the features would work on a technical level, but I realized from this project that the depth might also include some visualization for those who can't follow the text instructions.
My little small forays into custom work, I learned pretty quickly. I had someone that wanted a customized WooCommerce experience. So I bought the Poodle Press customization tool, and I knew that I was going to have someone help me with the customization side of it. And we customized exactly what the customer provided in a Figma file. We did it exactly. And then, like you said, oh, I thought this button was going to be bigger. I thought this was going to do this. This needs to go over here. Oh, you know what? This is actually too difficult for our staff to figure out how to add the items the way that it's built, because we had to use like custom post types to fill different segments in. They wanted to add elements that WooCommerce didn't do. So they wanted to add these things. We had to add these fields, And then when we said, okay, so here's how you use it. You're going to put the product in, but then you go to this custom field and you select from this drop down and this, that, and the other. Oh, whoa. This is too difficult for we have to simplify this. This needs to be automated. And automation is the big word everyone's using right now. I think there's like this huge assumption that all the big companies are automating everything, when in reality, the bigger the company, the less automation I see. There's a lot of boots on the ground making things happen. So that one taught me a lesson about, well, it's got to look and feel a certain way. It's got to be really intuitive to the users, the end users, all the way downstream, all those. But then more recently, I had someone that wanted a customization in WordPress. And what I found through an extended discovery process was they actually had a vision of a PDF that an old LMS had given them to report on a student's progress. And in their mind, they wanted one button push reporting in LifterLMS that looked exactly like that PDF did from, a 15-year-old platform that isn't maintained anymore. And so they want to take information from the quiz area, from the question area, from the student area, from the course area, and they want to have that all combine into, like, push a button and get a report on the student in a PDF format that has all that stuff combined into one report. And I was like, well, give me a copy of that report so I can see what I'm stepping into. And I still don't have a copy of that report. Like, I still don't have like the layout that they want. And so they keep asking me, when are you gonna have some news on that custom plugin modification we asked about? And I keep going to, when are you going to give me an example of what you think the output is? because we just can't, you can't put agency time towards building something that's make believe. Like, you have to know what it's supposed to be. And I find that a lot of times what's described is not what's expected.
Yeah.
It's hard. Well, there we are. For folks that are like, wow, I thought this was going to be an introductory call on LifterLMS. You just had to walk down the pathway with me and Emily. Delphine's with us today. She says, good morning from Merritt, British Columbia, Canada. I wonder if you could mind clarifying which plugins are specific to LifterLMS and which ones are add-ons that work with LifterLMS. I always get confused. Well, I think the best thing to do there is jump into a screen share if we could, Emily. Just go to the pricing page and walk through what add-ons are from LifterLMS. Anything that's not on the pricing page is from a third party. So what happens a lot there is a lot of people, for example, will say, oh, LifterLMS. It must be a Lifter product because it says Lifter in the title. It's not. It's from a company called Tangible. So all of our add-ons, all of our plugins are basically listed on the pricing page. Emily, you want to take over on that one?
Yeah, so we have a few packages at LifterLMS plus add-ons that can be purchased individually. So with all your products, you can have unlimited courses, membership, students, and teachers. Because it's WordPress, we don't limit you on the amount of things you can create. When it comes to active sites, no, that's not top. Let's shut that pop-up down. When it comes to active sites, on the Earth bundle, you get 1 active site, Universe bundle, 5 active sites, and Infinity is unlimited active sites. So if you're building sites for clients, that's a big feature, is the active sites you can have, the amount of people you can have on your LifterLMS account listed for downloads and support. And then you have the add-ons themselves. So the Earth bundle comes with all those e-commerce add-ons. So you can accept payments and get on your way with payments. And the Universe bundle, Infinity bundle include those as well. But the Universe bundle goes further, including email marketing integrations. The Universe bundle goes further, including forms integrations and text message integrations, and the SkyPilot theme, the aircraft page builder, the LifterLMS graphics pack. And that's where the Universe bundle kind of maxes out. You have e-commerce, forms, the stylized version of LifterLMS that you see on all of our demo sites that's created with SkyPilot. All of that is in the Universe bundle. And then the Infinity bundle continues on with all of our advanced add-ons. This is like the substantive add-ons that LifterLMS has that are self-contained. So like you see up here, the Formidable Forms. That's an integration with Formidable Forms. You do still need a license to Formidable Forms. You do still need a license to MailChimp. You do still need a PayPal account. These are like integration abilities. But when we get into the Infinity Bundle, we have a lot of add-ons that are self-contained. Like LifterLMS Assignments doesn't integrate with anything. It just adds new features to your WordPress dashboard where students can submit assignments, admins can grade them, and send feedback, or instructors can grade them and send feedback. Advanced Quizzes adds more question types. Advanced Coupons creates coupon URLs and stuff like that. LifterLMS Groups was what I was talking about earlier. There's a lot of depth to these add-ons here. They're like upgrades to the LifterLMS core package. And then you get access to the Facebook group, which is the support group that me and Kurt do. About an hour and 45 minutes from now, we're going to be hopping on Zoom with a bunch of LifterLMS users from the Universe Infinity Bundle and just talk about mastermind tech and just hanging out. Yeah, that's the packages.
Yeah, the big thing to me is when I start looking at everything that LifterLMS offers, there's a temptation. And again, this is messaging for people that are new to the LifterLMS space. There's a temptation to go, oh, well, I bought the Infinity package. I'm going to install it all and then try to figure it out as you go. I find it is much better to go the other direction. I think it's best to launch a minimal viable product, let the demand of your students speak to you about what tools you have available and how you can supply those needs. Sometimes you'll want to install social learning. Sometimes you'll want to do private areas. Sometimes you'll want to do something else. But I find that answering the needs of an existing student base is a lot better way to grow than trying to put it all up front and hoping that people come in and fill the space. Hopefully that made sense. Question for you. When you are thinking about all of the options that Lifter has to add, are there things that you specifically don't add to a new project, Emily?
Like add-ons from the Lifter package?
Yeah. As a startup, what are a couple of the tools that you specifically would be like, you know what, I'm going to avoid that one when I first launch?
If I jump back over to the pricing page, look through it. What do we avoid on launch? I like private areas on launch. Advanced coupons, I would avoid that one. When we're usually designing from scratch, people may want to integrate with forms and have like a really complicated form setup. And unless you already have customers, I would avoid the forms tools because you can overcomplicate yourself when you go into form land. Forms tools are very powerful. You can collect all kinds of data. It was the basis for Web 3.0. Is that yeah, Web 2.0. You could, I don't know, whatever version of the web where users could interact with your website and change their experience based on their interaction. Forms are powerful, but avoid them if you don't have 10, 20, 30 students on your website. And then e-commerce is a go from the start. Maybe avoid WooCommerce if you can. If you don't have any customers, WooCommerce might be one to shy away from until you have those customers. You have a handful of customers, you have your product validated. It's a lot of work to set up WooCommerce, and unless you need to set up WooCommerce because you're selling in countries that require payment gateways that LifterLMS doesn't support out of the box, like if you're integrating with, I don't know, whatever cart systems. I forgot the names of all of these ones, but if you're in Africa, you're in Europe, you might have a need for something that's better than PayPal or Stripe for your region. So maybe avoid WooCommerce if you can, and definitely avoid overcomplicating with forms, and even avoid complicating with email marketing integrations until you have that validation. Until you have those 10, 20, 30 students, I wouldn't be integrating too deeply with the CRM.
Yeah, that's all good stuff. And then there's different use cases. So some people are building something from scratch and struggling to get an audience. Other people are doing continuing education and there's an audience waiting for the product. And then there's people where it's like forced training, kind of like continuous education, but different. Like I'm thinking like enterprise intercompany training, right? Where I have 200 employees, I need to force through this HR process or something like that. So please know that all of the use cases drive different results or different answers. And so roundabout, I just want to get back to Delphine. I hope I answered your question, Delphine. Put a comment in if you had something specific to ask. To me, the biggest, not contradiction, the biggest confusion comes from LifterLMS in the Elementor space, because a lot of people assume that's ours, but it's not. Vicky Baptiste. Vicky Baptiste, I am adding a course on a site that uses the Divi page builder. Oof. Can I use Divi to style the pages, or is it better to just use blocks? Vicky, you have dove into personal preference. This is a space where anything I say could possibly be wrong or infuriate people that listen. Personally, my opinion, I don't use Divi. I don't. The people that work at Divi are phenomenal. I met people that, help form the company and write their blog posts and do their marketing is amazing. They have definitely met a client demand space, meaning they have built out their product market fit based on what people wanted. It's the difference between, are you a Mac person or a PC person in my mind? A lot of people that are more design curious or artistic tend to go to the Divi space. And then people that are more function based, if I'm going to describe them that way, might be more Elementor or bricks based. In the page builder space, I'm just talking about page builders. I personally don't like Divi, and I find that some of our users, some of our creators, get really confused with making a template for lesson space or a template for course space versus the template for page spaces. That all said, you can absolutely use Divi to style your pages. We even have a feature in LifterLMS Labs. If you don't have LifterLMS Labs installed, that's something I would recommend. There's a thing called Lifty that you can activate that helps LifterLMS integrate better with Divi for design purposes. So you might want to look at LifterLMS Labs and add that if you haven't already, and then activate Lifty so that you get more use out of your Divi. However, I will say this, and this is not just for Divi people. This is widespread. This is everyone that uses LifterLMS. I have thought this for a very, very long time, and I've implemented this on many, many projects to save my clients money. If you think of your website as being two pieces of a website, I mean, it's all one website, but think of it as being two very different things. One is, and let's think of it as like you're selling courses, meaning you have content that is behind a paywall. Okay. So you have content behind a paywall that nobody's going to see until they pay for it. And then you have content that for the sake of this description, for this conversation, is marketing content. Everybody's going to see it, whether they're enrolled or not. Everybody can see that content. I tend to be someone that says, I want my marketing content to look a certain way. I want it to be attractive. I want it to flow. I want it to be influential. I want to make sure that I have copy and calls to action that help with conversion and all those kinds of things. But if I'm going to be super, super honest with you, behind the paywall, I don't care. They already made their purchase decision. They're already in the platform. And what they bought was access to you and information. And in a lot of cases, if we were to study what like a lot of SaaS platforms do with their education products, is they're looking for distraction-free learning areas. They're looking for, where can I just put the content? Let them see the content, let them take the test, let them get the certificate. Like, not have a bunch of distractions or design on the page. And so if you look at tools like Moodle, Learn Upon, Bridge, Blackboard, if you look at those tools, which can be industry leaders, if you look at those tools and you look at the design space inside the courses and the lessons, you're going to see there's not a lot of design elements there. It is content. Just, here's your learning content. Take the quiz, get your certificate. Thanks for coming. Thanks for your money. But on the other side of the LMS, to me, is the marketing space. Again, personal information, personal thoughts. A lot of people would watch this and argue with me until the sun went down. Emily might be one of those people. I don't know. Emily, are you going to argue with me?
No, I like sticking with blocks. If you have the bandwidth in your life to spend some time learning wrapping your head around blocks, it's a great powerful tool, and it's what sites are going to be built with now and 10 years from now. So if you can get on that train right now, I would do it for sure. But if you're like locked in with Divi, if you're inheriting a website that already has Divi, you might lose access to that block editor. You might not be able to use templates. You might be kind of in there. But if you're building from scratch, I personally would avoid Divi too.
Yeah, and it's not a ding on the company or the people. They're great folks and the product's great, but I just don't like using it. I mean, that's just the way that it is. I have a client that I'm working with right now that has a ton of content built in Beaver Builder, but also has a ton of content in ACF, automatic custom fields. No, what do we call it? Is it automatic custom? I forget what the A is. Advanced custom fields. There we go. Advanced custom fields. And I got to tell you, I've been doing this for over 20 years. I get into the back of this client's website and they have literally thousands of posts. I mean, this site is huge. And when I go to make an edit in their website for content, it's all over the place. Sometimes it's in a custom field. Sometimes it's in this Beaver Builder template. Sometimes it's in this Beaver Builder element or page. It's a challenge. It's a challenge for me. So when I am building new projects for new clients, I really try to drive simplicity as much as possible. At the risk of insulting customers, I talk about simplicity. They'll say, well, what about this? Or what about that? Or what about the other thing? Earlier, I was talking about LifterLMS reporting. And a lot of times someone will see, like if you came over from Moodle or you came over from some custom SCORM website that is like using a learning record store to store every single activity that someone does in a SCORM package. And I might be talking a foreign language to some people. That's okay. You could turn your ears off for this part. A lot of that reporting that comes in, while being extremely detailed through the learning record store, what did they click? How long did they click on it? How long did they access this section? Did they replay this part of the video? How long did it take them to answer question 1? How long did it take them to answer question 2? So if they answered all 10 questions, did it look like there was a pause on question 4? Do we see that pause across 50 other students? I mean, you can really get granular on some of that LRS-derived reporting. And so when people get used to that and then they go to another platform, regardless of what it is, but let's talk about Lifter in this example. Lifter says, here's your name. Here's the course you took. This is the last time you signed in. This is your progress. This is your current grade. Like, boom, like that's it. For most people, for 99% of the people running a learning management system, that is more than sufficient to knock things down. But we still get like things. So what if someone has a serial number to a continuing education program that they're taking? I have a client that is connected to the state of California on a LifterLMS website. And every time a customer enrolls through the state of California, they get issued a student ID number. That student ID number needs to become part of the profile, part of the reporting, and needs to show up on the certificate. And so in that instance, so if they pull a report, they pull a CSV file, the state of California can search that CSV file by serial number, or the student ID number, by student ID number, and they can see that person's report based on the student ID number. That's how they're tracking in the state of California. So you can see that's a customized part of the report, but they're also using SCORM content. And just because they're using SCORM content doesn't mean we connected to the LRS and we're examining each and every pause through each and every question and all those things. So it's really important to understand, like a lot of the requests I get as an agency owner is how can I improve reporting? How can I create this experience? How, in a lot of cases, we're detracted, we're distracted from what's really important, and that's the end user's experience in the platform. Can they sign in? Can they take the content? Can they learn something? Can they demonstrate that they learned something? Can we offer them a certificate? And can we wave goodbye to them and keep their money? Like those are like the biggest concerns. And so in a lot of cases, we do that. Now, Vicky says she hadn't heard of Labs. That's great. It's a free plugin in the WordPress repository. If you go into WordPress, go to plugins, click add new, and you search for LifterLMS Labs, it'll come right up. Just install it, activate it, you're good to go. She says, thanks, team. I appreciate the advice. Oh, so she's done Divi, she's done Beaver Builder, and she has a couple in Elementor. Vicky, you sound like a rampant agency on the move. Do you have an agency of your own, or are you working with somebody else? You can feel free to put the comment in. I don't think that you're advertising yourself if I ask you. I always think it's cool to meet new agency owners. Any questions so far for you, Emily?
Like questions about what?
Well, Juan's going to take us in another direction. So before I put up Juan's question, I want to make sure that we have answered everything that we need to talk about so far.
Oh yeah, no, I think this looks good.
So let's bring Juan up. Hello from the new barbecue capital in the world. Juan, my backyard is the barbecue capital of the world, man. I did like a 15-pound brisket this week. It was awesome. All right, Seguin, Texas. I'm using the Cadence theme, and I noticed that options like load Google Fonts locally and enable CSS preload are available. I'd love to hear your thoughts on enabling those, especially from the perspective of improving core web vitals and overall core site performance or noticeable issues on existing sites. That's a multi-layered question. Do you feel comfortable talking about core web vitals all the time, or do you refer people to somebody else, Emily?
I'll talk about core web vitals. What I'm thinking about right now is you put BBQ, TX, and CSS, which are all acronyms related to different items. We have a food, a state, coding language. So that's kind of cool. I'm using Cadence theme. If you're using Cadence theme, your web vitals will be a strength. But I've noticed things loading in LifterLMS through Cadence are so bad right now. Like the styling of them on just so many platforms. My personal platform was built on Cadence, and Cadence was so great at supporting LifterLMS for so many years. But I don't know why it's struggling with LifterLMS stuff now. But you're talking about loading Google Fonts locally and enabling CSS preload. I'd love to hear your thoughts on these, especially from the perspective of core web vitals. If you can load fonts on the user's computer, if you can make those optimizations, you're probably fine. Over optimization can be a challenge, especially with the LifterLMS website. I don't imagine loading fonts or anything related to CSS locally it's not gonna break anything to optimize those files specifically. Mostly what's gonna break LifterLMS when it comes to core web vitals is items that mess with sessions, and when a user logs in, what information is being cached. Like if you're caching CSS or even JavaScript, it's usually going to be fine. But if you are storing different PHP templates that might have new information, you usually need to contact the server before loading new pages. At least with an AJAX request. So I don't know. I would upgrade your hosting before I would worry about optimization at that level. But yeah, it would improve your core web vitals. I don't even think at LifterLMS we care about that kind of stuff right now. We're just footing a $100 to $300 a month web hosting bill. So I just think the challenge with including optimization experts as a part of your team is going to incur more budget than improving your hosting. If you go from if you're looking for speed, going from your $100 a month web host to your $500 a month web host, and then from $500 to $1,000 a month, that's where having an expert work on your speed, maintenance, and performance and web vitals is going to be worth it, because you can afford to pay that expert for 2-3 hours of their time a month and have it save you $500 a month in hosting, so it starts to level out in terms of value. What do you think, Kurt?
I really struggle with the loading the fonts and the preload idea, because the standard caching, even on a Lifter LMS site, if it's standardly cached and you have a decent host, you're going to be okay. I think you're going to be fine. I always wonder, what is it worth maintenance wise and potential? So how many fonts are you using on the website? Like, why do we have to load all the fonts? Why? Because if you're using a web friendly font, a Google font, you shouldn't have an issue really anyway. Like if you're using something special, if it's something that came out of, if you've converted something from Adobe or Figma to your website and you do the page speed report and it's actually noticeably slowing you down to download or cache or whatever that font, I could see that being maybe a concern. But if you built the website with best practices and you're using web-friendly fonts, it really shouldn't be something that's, because fonts are light. Like, I think about more important things like image size. Some people that want to put video into their website and then it's actually downloading the video before it plays the video, right? That's why we recommend hosting on other platforms, YouTube, Vimeo, Wistia, Bunny.net, those types of things, right? It's better to embed video than put video in. Image size gets to be a thing. I have a lot of customers that are just convinced they need full resolution, pictures on their websites and things and giant. Like when you think about those pixels, it's hard to explain to somebody. Like, just because you see it on a 13-inch screen doesn't mean that file isn't big enough to be a billboard on the highway, and it's like that takes an inordinate amount of time to load and to work. So I think there's a lot of work to do before I start worrying about those issues. But at the end of the day, I let every customer follow their own path, whatever they want to do. I did put on there that Sabrina is the bomb. I met Sabrina in person at WordCamp Phoenix. She was one of the featured speakers that came in from the Ukraine, and she is amazingly fun to follow and learn from. She has her own product focused on Core Web Vitals, and she speaks all over the world on Core Web Vitals, and it's a passion piece for her, and she's really sharp on it. So I have referred a ton of people to her for some just better knowledge and better information on Core Web Vitals. When I do the page speed report, if it passes Core Web Vitals, I'm happy. If it doesn't pass Core Web Vitals, I used to freak out a little bit, but then I realized if it doesn't pass Core Web Vitals on the page speed report from Google, that just means that something glitched or failed to be recognized somewhere within the last 28 days. And then when I was like, oh, because I could test a website and it could be perfect, but it failed Core Web Vitals. And I'm like, what? How did that fail? What failed? What's missing? I used to freak out about it. But then I learned that particular report goes back 28 days. And if anything glitched in 28 days, could be anything, it'll fail the Core Web Vitals report. So I think it's important, if Core Web Vitals is a true concern, you're going to want to add a specific tool to your site that examines and helps you manage Core Web Vitals better. And I know Sabrina's got a tool for that. Gary's here. Hi, Gary. Gary was late. Gary, do you have any questions for us? Because I think we may have rounded out questions without me going to the pre-submitted questions. So let me jump over there. If you got a question, put it in chat for me, Gary. In the meantime, I'm going to go copy this out and see. I think this is going to take us down a Gamey Press conversation, just scanning the question, but I'll put it into chat for us. This is from Vivek. Vivek? I wonder if he was running for president. Vivek. Boom.
So before you have an optimization expert as a part of your team, I know one's working with big sites, but you could just click any settings you want, and if it doesn't break the site, just roll with it,
Just roll with it.
Just roll with it. It's like if your average CSS file is supposed to be like 300 kilobytes and yours is like 500, every 5 users, you're losing 1 megabyte of bandwidth. But until that 1 megabyte of bandwidth multiplied by your traffic is charging you a lot of money per month in hosting, the technical specificity of like optimizing each feature doesn't really have a high impact. But if you want to take some shots, there's really no consequences other than changing it back later.
No, to me, it sounds like such a cop out. Like I listen to myself talk and I think, oh, people must be tired of that. But I think you can fix a lot of things with upgraded hosting.
Mhm.
You know, I used to be on, and I'll just say it, I used to be on Bluehost for years and years and years. And I found, oh, well, this one's really crawling. Let me see what I can do to fix that. This one's really what can I do to fix that? And then I upgraded my hosting, and all of a sudden on my website started like click, boom, click, boom, click, boom. And you know what I don't care about anymore? I don't care about that. I just build and use, just build and use. And maybe that makes me sound lazy or uneducated, but there's a lot of things that money fixes. So Vivek has a question here. It says, I'm new to LifterLMS and have debut, not used it yet. Maybe I have not used it yet. How about that? I wanted to know if it supports creating a leaderboard of all people who have taken my course successfully so people can view and can also search by name or by other attributes. Vivek, I'm just guessing that you have an old pinball machine and you are number 1 or 2 on the record score for the pinball machine. Maybe that's it. What do you think? Emily's like, I don't even know what a pinball machine is.
Oh, I like pinball.
I like pinball.
I used to play that as a kid.
I'm a pinball wizard. It's an old song. Vivek, leaderboards is something that is available in a tool called GameyPress, which we integrate with. So if you went to our recommended resources page at LifterLMS.com, you would see a recommended resource would be GameyPress. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Emily. You need the pro version of GameyPress to get the leaderboards, right?
Yeah, or at least as an add-on. It might be in a package of theirs too, like a pro package.
Yeah, the leaderboard thing is fun. I played with it. Oh my goodness, it's been 3 or 4 years. The gamification was super popular. I'm going to go back like a half a decade ago. Like every LMS I built, people were like, well, how could I gamify this? How could I gamify this? And I hear that less and less and less today. I think today we're more focused with, and maybe it's because I'm doing more enterprise level stuff. Maybe it's because I'm doing more like compliance kind of training sites where they don't care if people like the training or not, or excited about the training or not. They got to finish the training to get the certification to keep their job. Like maybe my client base is just morphed over the last half decade. Maybe gamification is still really popular in other spaces. But I know that GameyPress used to be the absolute rage to gamify a site. We have achievements. You can assign badges to people and you can hand out those badges with different triggers in the engagement menu. So for entry level kind of gamification, that's a great way to go. Like students that complete this course get the bear badge, and people that complete this course get the tiger badge, and people that complete this course get the elephant badge. Like you could totally do that. And if you had social learning, those badges would come up at the top of each student's profile, and it makes it kind of fun and engaging. But I'm rambling on a little bit. I think GameyPress is next level for gamification. And if the leaderboard is where your brain is really at, it would be the GameyPress Pro version, or the add-on that they have for that does the leaderboard. And I'm not going to take anything away from you. That the leaderboard was a really cool thing. I thought that was fun. All right.
Yeah. Leaderboards. Leaderboards are awesome. That's another one of those things that I wouldn't add on site launch, is gamification, unless you just like have a passion for building what you're building and like you're not really concerned about the uptake of it. I've seen people who are like, I'm going to turn like building, learning how to code into a D&D like experience. And I'm like, that's a big undertaking before you have a customer. So like, if you can launch and get some customers off your core vital content and then move into that sphere of like, okay, now we have customers, like, and we've worked on upgrading our sales. How do we then upgrade those customers who are currently in our platform by gamifying their experience and bringing like a next level to it? How do you think about that?
Well, you nailed it on the head for me. Earlier in the call today, I said simplification is my focus. I really try to, and it's not because I'm trying to do the least amount of work for the most amount of money. I adjust the budget accordingly. So if I can talk someone into taking the simple route, it's cheaper for them, right? And we get them launched. Because here's my thing. As an agency owner, when I bring on a client into the LifterLMS framework, I want them to be successful. I want them to launch and experience success and be able to continue in their pathway. A lot of times with training sites, the friends and family program runs out pretty quick, right? And so what I'm referring to there is you're excited, you put out your new training platform, and you advertise it on your social media, and you tell people at your family reunion that you got this new thing. And so friends and family, they feel obligated. They sign up, they give you your $25 or your $40, or you gave them a coupon or whatever, and they get in. So they're in, right? But there's not a lot of activity because they were really just trying to support you in your effort anyway, right? They're not really sold out to the concept of what you were trying to train or be excited about. So now you still have to do the hard, heavy lifting of getting real audience members, right? Real community members, real students into that website. And that can take paid advertising, that can take PR work, that can take time on your part, effort, extra landing pages. Like you got to figure out like, where are my people at? How do I attract them? And how do I find success on this thing? So my goal, my personal goal, is to keep expenses down, have the straightest path to delivery, and get people launched so they can start to experience a little bit of success, get that dopamine hit and get the revenue coming. Once the project has an energy of its own and the creator has experienced some success, then I feel, okay, hey, it's great. You want to upgrade it? Let's take another run at it. We can do a redesign. We can do phase 2. We can bring in some extra features. We can add social learning. We can do custom coaching. We can do all kinds of things, but let's get you launched first and get some revenue coming and get some people coming. Let's do a proof of concept and make sure that people really want what you have to offer. As a sidebar to that, I find I'm generally 4 to 5 years in front of what everybody wants. I'm not saying that I'm a futurist and I'm a genius. What I'm saying is I tend to jump in with both feet and build something immense and huge about 4 or 5 years before anybody has an interest in buying it. Each of my successful platforms that I have created, it's taken them 4 or 5 years to get decent traffic or sales into them because I started creating stuff and learn from my mistakes maybe. I started creating stuff based on what I thought rather than on doing the research and getting feedback from other people to create the product first. Like I was a product first person instead of a research first person. And so I encourage people, minimal viable product, get something out there, proof of concept, get some success, and then build and morph and design and make things awesome. Mm-hmm. My first LMS was awesome. It had every bell and whistle you could imagine, Emily. I had everything. Social, personal training, animations, all kinds of things in that first LMS. And I think I had like 3 students in 18 months. I finally turned it off and said, you know what? I just got to build something that's direct, something that's straight, that's easy, that's direct, get people in. I realized I had to focus more on sales and marketing than on actually building the product.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I'm working with an organization right now that has more than 10,000 users, and we're making all the kind of changes that they want to make in the budget and timeline. But it's like, why don't we just stick with some of these core fundamentals, like you're emphasizing the value of your training and the ease of accessing that training before we go wild with really just turning their user experience into this fully integrated thing. I know some of my clients, they do 7 figures with their LMS sites and they have all these fully integrated features, and they're competing with pros in their industry. But they struggle with the change, adaptation, and management. Now they're looking at like, can we rebuild a new platform, scaling issues because they put way too many gamified features in that need to come out now. And they're going back to basics and reworking things towards a more basic LMS setup in some ways. Like they might have had an advanced certificate system, but then they realize that the state requirements are met with a basic LifterLMS certificate system. So they're like, okay, how can we remove this advanced thing, and how can we get back to the Lifter system so that we're not like bloating our scalability anymore? No, we're not limiting our growth. So that's something to consider. But it is shiny object syndrome. It's very fun to go wild, and that's why I definitely recommend having a passion project website where you can execute all those beautiful features that you want to learn how to use. But on your core web business website, like treat it like a client website. Like treat your own build as a client website. Like that's how I look at it. I got to be my own client. Sometimes.
You just said some magic. We should clip that out. We should clip that out and make that like that could be a viral piece right there. I actually had a small slowdown, and I was like, you know what? I told you about my problems trying to do some page speed analysis on Mañana No Mas. That actually turned into a good thing, because I went into those pages and I was like, I got a lot of extra crap in here I don't even need. Like, this is not helping my conversions at all. So I went and remade the pages, republished the pages, got everything done. Like, I used frames I had bricks, automatic CSS, and frames all working on a few pages in that site. And then I was like, I don't even need this frames content. Like, I'm confident enough now with bricks. I can just duplicate this crap straight through bricks. I don't need the extra bandwidth and baggage that comes with frames. And so I just rebuilt those pages. It's lighter. And guess what? My page speed went up like 20 points. So it all worked for the better. If Kate was on the call today, I would tell her for sure, because she sent me a private message that it blew up in my face. It did. It blew up pretty bad, but it's fixed now. If I were to treat my own sites like I was my own customer, I wouldn't have walked down that dangerous path. David says, how to set up cookie acceptance dialog. What disclosures are necessary? How to provide an option to opt out of non-essential, and how does opting out impact the user experience?
Cookie acceptance dialog. There's a few different ways to do it. I recommend
slap in a plugin, baby.
What'd you say?
I said, just slap in a plugin.
Slap in a plugin. There are some plugins that make sure that no cookies are loaded before the cookie consent has been filled out. That's one thing Elementor had struggled with in the past. I mean, I don't know if you're using Elementor, but they would load data that would use cookies before the consent would have been figured out. And if they said no to cookies, it wouldn't change anything. It would have already placed the pop-up cookies on you if you use Elementor pop-ups for cookie consent. So like Kurt said, having a dedicated plugin, making sure that plugin doesn't load any of that sensitive data you're asking permission to load before they give you permission to do it, and that your website can operate with the consent not being given to load those cookies. And yeah, I think when you have users in the backend of your website, like LifterLMS, Advanced Videos, I think uses cookies. There are some cookies that are essential for the functionality of your website if you're using LifterLMS Advanced Videos as an example. But for those visitors, those initial people, what data you're collecting on them does need to be able to be purged. But yeah, dedicated plugins are good. I would look through some of those most popular options. I assume you need GDPR compliance, and there's a lot of great dedicated cookie plugins that will block your cookies from loading until the consent is given.
Yeah. You bring up a good point though, like GDPR compliance and those things. It's amazing how many people enter the space and they're focused on what they want to build rather than what they need to build. And so we end up with a lot of websites built that don't meet minimum requirements for people's private information and things like that. So if you are unfamiliar with those topics, it's worth doing a little bit of a dive or reaching out to the experts link at LifterLMS and hiring an expert that says, oh, I've been certified in private information, or, that can at least walk you through some of the steps. Because what can happen is, yeah, if you've got 10 or 15 students or 25 students, what are the chances someone's going to sue you? Pretty dang slim. But if your project scales and you get busy doing other things while your project's scaling, and next thing you know, you've got something that's really bringing in revenue and getting the attention of others, you want to make sure that you comply with the requirements of having a website like this. So it's a good thing to pay attention to before rather than after. Do you see, we've only got a few minutes left today. Do you see the question for Vicky?
Yeah.
Is it normal for all the modules and lessons to show up on the course page, or did I do something wrong? First off, it is completely normal for the whole syllabus to show up on the course page. Completely normal. Now you could say, hey, you can't access this unless you're enrolled, right? Because if you have an access plan and someone clicks on it, they're not enrolled, it's going to say you must be enrolled to access this content. So it's kind of the idea that you're showing your students and your prospective students, hey, this is the curriculum. This is what we're looking for you to sign up for. But there are options outside of that default setting in Lifter. You could create a course page as a sales page that non-enrolled people see instead of enrolled people, and you don't even have to put the syllabus on it. You could do the collapsible outline option. I have a client that has a really pretty website, and instead of having the whole syllabus ranked all the way down her page, we use the collapsible outline. So it just shows the sections in kind of like a linked kind of format, not the standard format. And then you can click on each one to expand it. And that works really good for her because her course is really long. And so you got to scroll like crazy and hurt your index finger on your mouse to see the whole course. And so by using that collapsible outline, we're able to make it much easier for the user. And it keeps the website looking light and easier. She says, my enrollment link is on the same page. It just looks ugly. Oh, you can do whatever you want. We have a ton of material. We don't have time to go into it all today, Vicky, but if you go into our YouTube channel, or I believe if you went to the Academy at LifterLMS, getting started with LifterLMS, I think we covered that too. You can create sales pages. You can create, for instance, you could create a sales page that has a purchase link that takes the student directly to purchase, like put in your credit card and get access to the course. And then when they pay, they get access to the course. So your course page could be very simple. Hey, thanks for buying. Welcome to the course. And then there's the syllabus, right? That back end experience that I was talking about before. So there's all kinds of options in ways that you can style or customize the user experience to get people to convert for your course. She says, yep, that's how mine is. Yep. So I like the collapse. If you have a long course, I like the collapsible outline option. It's one of the blocks that LifterLMS has available in the block editor. Works really well. And if you're designing other ways, you could look at short codes and stuff like that as well. She says, okay. She says, oh, you're good. I'll try those. I'm just not good at reading instructions. Yeah, the YouTube channel's full of stuff. Emily made a ton of content on this kind of stuff before. So if you go to WP Course Guide, you'll see a lot of those tutorials there in YouTube style. It's just, you got to be prepared because Emily talks fast. She goes through things quickly. So you might have to watch a couple of times. It's a Divi page. Hey, you can create a Divi sales page. That's fine. So yeah, you might be using short codes in that instance to grab the short code and put that into place.
Yeah.
My goodness. Well, let's start to wrap things up a little bit. I got a couple of things I got to go back to. If you have enjoyed your sessions today, feel free to give us a shout. Give us a shot, not a shout, a shot. LifterLMS.com/try. That opens up a $1 hosted 30-day trial. That 30-day trial gives you a fully populated LMS website with all of our add-ons available for you to play with. It is a really great way for people to get an understanding of what a populated built LMS website should look and feel like and what you can do with it. It has sample students in it, sample reporting, all of that stuff is there. You can treat it like your own website. You can add plugins, you can try integrations, you can do all kinds of stuff with it. It costs $1. It's yours for 30 days. Definitely a way to go. The other thing is, again, your reward for sticking with us and watching this thing is you've got an opportunity for a 55% off coupon by going to lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. AMA is Ask Me Anything, right? So lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. And that will get you where you got to go there. I had already mentioned that we have an experts link. And so I'll put that in the bottom now as well. If you want to hire an expert, some people come to these Ask Me Anything calls, but they're not creators. Maybe you work at a corporation and you're responsible to find somebody to build an LMS, or you're shopping for an LMS to use. Maybe you've talked to a Moodle expert, Learn Upon, Blackboard, whatever, and they said, yeah, it's $90,000 to set it up and $80,000 a year to host it for you, right? Maybe you heard those numbers and went, oh my God, I got to do something different. You can build something in WordPress. You have ownership of it. You can host it wherever you want. You've got design freedom and flexibility you're not going to get with a SaaS platform, but maybe you don't want to build it yourself. Maybe you want someone else to manage it for you. If that's the case, go to lifterlms.com/experts. You can see me and Emily in there for two great solutions, but there's a whole host of others. It is a full list of people that can provide services for you. So it is a great way to go. So we've got experts covered. We've got the 55% off coupon covered. We've got the Lifter LMS try. So you guys can try the demo site. And I think that kind of fills us out. Let's see. We've got a comment that came in. She says, I'm good with fast talking. Thanks, Emily. Perfect. So we are all set. Emily, what's a good way to reach you?
A good way to reach me is you could Google Magic Emily Middleton or go to wpcourseguide.com. How about you, Kurt?
Mañana no más. Mañana no más is my company. Anything on social, Mañana no más generally leads to me. And I am the only Kurt Von Onen on LinkedIn. So if you want to make a personal connection, just search up Kurt Von Onen on LinkedIn. When you find me, you found me. There's no one else. There's no one else like me there. I think that's it. I'm going to hit the magic button. Why don't we wave goodbye? Hold on. I got to turn this off. I got to go to wherever this is at. Where is it at? Okay. Goodbye, everybody.